YouTube, I am Shaggy, I am Philalitheia, and I am live once again. It is Thursday, September 4th. I have a football game to watch tonight at 8 o'clock, so we're going to figure out how we can share that experience together. I know that with a YouTube, good morning, Alec. Season ticket. I think starting this season, I'm actually allowed to live stream the game and my reactions. That was something they were talking about letting us do because they want us to do that because it's a thing that people do. Good morning, Greenie. Good morning, guys. It's good to see you. I woke up, didn't want to be awake, and so I went back to sleep. The old man never came home. I'm sorry to hear that, Greenie. It's upsetting. And so I've been making an effort to let the Patreon and Discord audiences know when I know what I'm going to be doing with the live, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing today until I started typing in the description. You can plot this different revenge while you sleep. That's funny, Greenie. And I got to thinking, letting my heart and my mind be open. I don't remember if I said it. Good morning, KJ. And I decided that after yesterday, after enjoying Freakier Friday so much, and thinking about intergenerational trauma, and then not talking about intergenerational trauma, I think it only makes sense. I think it only makes sense to read the book of Ruth, since I have it on hand. Read the book of Ruth because I have it on hand. And then we can talk. We can talk about intergenerational trauma. But intergenerational trauma begins with the mother. And so I want to talk about how important mothers and grandmothers are. This is a short book, so it won't be a long reading. Good morning, Weekend Jake. How are you doing? I hope you're well. And then we'll do, the Book of Ruth. We'll do 2 hours of that. I gotta eat at some point today. I am actively hungry right now, but it has been raining all day. That's a big part of why I woke up. It didn't feel like being awake. The hole in my weatherproofing leaked last night. It leaked all over one of my flannels. So it's God's way of saying, hey, you get to do laundry. You have no choice but to do laundry. But he's also saying, but not today. It's raining today. So my flannel and my jacket got wet. It's not a big deal. I just need to get out and pull my weatherproofing off of the inside part of my tent. Good morning, Colored Tiger. I hope you're doing well. I just got some work to do on that little section of the tent, and I just get to hope that my pants in my laundry, because that's sitting right on top of my laundry. I get to hope that didn't get wet last night. Because if my good pants got wet last night, then laundry is a little bit of a silly thing to do. Not really. It just means that I get to do laundry in dirty pants instead of doing laundry in clean pants. And good morning, Carl. Oh, excuse me. Good morning, Carl. Good morning, Jeremiah. I hope the morning has found you well. I woke up this morning one of the shrews, the larger one that has black fur, got himself caught in the bag of feed. It was standing up. It has a hole in the top. He had climbed down into the hole, and he couldn't get back out of the hole. So I wake up to... He's trying to jump out. What the hell is that noise? And I look over, and so I just reach in and I knock it over so he could climb out and get out. No threat of even thinking that I might be reaching for him or that I was trying to trap him. But if I were trying to catch shrew, I now know that that trick works. That trap works. I'm not using it. I have no intention of trapping or eating or getting rid of these shrews. If I wanted to, that works. That was my first thought. That works. So I do need to eat at some point. This granola bar is not adequate. I'm not going to... I went and looked. I'm not going to be able to pay out any of my tips that I'm making here on CashApp until the 1st. And so, well, whack-a-mole indeed. And so, if I'm concerned about being able to survive, there's a reason. YouTube's not going to provide me that this month, but then next month I'm going to end up with several hundred, maybe even a couple $1,000 to my name. So I am on a pace right now where even slow days where I'm making $30-$40 here on YouTube, those are weekdays at table service for me. That's a morning. That's like a lunch shift. Good morning, Billy. Yeah, it's raining on and off here too. There's a Domino's here in town, Greenie, yeah. I don't know where it is. But there's also, there's a pizza spot right here in the parking lot of the shopping mall that I'm staying near. So if I wanted pizza, I can just go there. But I didn't know that the Domino's delivered to hotspots. That's interesting. And I'll let everybody kind of filter in and do their good mornings just like yesterday at about the between 20 and the 30-minute mark. I'm going to read, and then somewhere between the 2 and 3 hour marks, I'm going to... Suddenly I have 40 pizzas. Please don't do that. Please don't do that, KJ. Oh wow, that's fairly inexpensive, Greenie. I'm sure I wouldn't be able to eat an entire large. Yeah, that Domino's is usually cheap, especially if you order in bulk. Domino's is good party. I'm so sleepy today, guys. Brain tired. I didn't even get my water. I did that here. I used to be able to sit and eat a large in a whole sitting. In one sitting, Greenie. I used to be able to eat more than a large in one sitting. I used to be able to eat like I thought it was a competition to spend my money. I'm not joking. I used to just gorge at all times, just constantly shoving chips and pizzas and ice cream and chocolate and candy, just constantly shoveling food in my face. Hamburgers and french fries and just constantly shoveling hot dogs. I need to brush my teeth. Go on, Ghost. Always glad to see you, buddy. I don't like flossing either, Greenie. It feels like every time I floss, one of my teeth breaks. Good morning, Rach. Good morning, Evo. Yeah, I've got 10 minutes. I've got 10 minutes that I've given myself to let you guys filter in here before I begin my reading. So I'm going to brush my teeth real quick. Instead of just sitting here thinking about it, I'm just going to, instead of sitting here saying how I need to do it today, I need to do it today, I need to do it today, and then talking myself out of it, I'm going to brush my teeth. If you don't like watching people brush their teeth, please forgive me. I'm going to brush my teeth real quick. Arrest the damage that I've already done. I am having a good morning so far, Rach. Good morning, Christina. Oh. Good morning, Jeremiah. Okay. I'm going to skip work. It would be on a Monday. Heard that. Understood, Greenie. Thank you for being here. I'm glad to hear that, Gina. Mm-hmm. Shaggy looking like he's about to interview at some startup software company with just the gray turtleneck. Looking like some kind of knockoff Bill Gates. I know his name's not Bill Gates, but I can't remember the guy's name, so I'm just moving on. I can never remember Apple's founder's name because he's a joke. Glad to hear that, Gina. I am. Steve Jobs, there we go. Timu Steve Jobs, there we go. Thank you. And there we go. The Gambit has another reader hooked on the line. Okay. That's 14 of us. Heard that, Kathos. You're gonna run for cancer? Good morning, Dave. I hope everyone is doing well. What's poppin', Flamo? What's crack-a-lackin'? I don't know whether I have, Gina. I don't know whether I've ever met a clairvoyant. Yeah. It's raining today, so just saying crack-a-lackin' made you feel old. That's funny. Just sitting here hoping that my clean pants aren't getting wet as the rain drips through. I mean, if you want to hit me with a tip, Flamo, I don't take requests without super likes or CashApp notifications. Yeah, we used to say that in the 90s. Yeah, for sure. Crack-a-lackin'. Hello, Sandra. How are you doing? Well, Dave didn't like whatever that message was. I'm going to give this about another 30 seconds. Let myself get comfortable. And then we're going to start this reading. And that everybody's filtered in. We have about 20 people here. I'm doing great, Sandra. Hello, Adritalita. Desensitized myself a little bit to my performance anxiety. Hello, Mongo. Dances and insults people. Well, I have a tendency to insult people. Now, a clairvoyant doesn't know what's coming out of somebody's mouth. A clairvoyant can see the future. I'm good, Funky. I hope you're good. All right. I like to be a minute late to things because that's how I control my pathological demand avoidance. Allow me to clean my camera. I know this is called a Lamar edit. There we go. The Book of Ruth, written anonymously by a man. Chapter 1. In the days when the judges ruled. Now, I don't know what years those were. I don't know what years the judges ruled. But it's important that you understand that the judges were a relatively late, convention among the Hebrew tribes. They were a relatively late convention, good morning, Eric, in their political structure. The judges are set up very much like Indo-European shamans. Continuing on. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. I believe that Moab is in the east. Now, if you're reading this book when it was contemporary, you understand that Moab and Judah don't get along. In fact, you know that the Deuteronomistic law, Moses' law, the Masoretic law, actually has it so that, actually is written so that Jewish men aren't allowed to take Moabite wives. Jewish men are not allowed to procreate and mix their races with Moabite wives. So that's in Deuteronomy. So if you're reading this contemporaneous to its publication, or its writing rather, its composition, whether it was oral or entirely literary, I don't know. And because my Cash App's not blowing up and I don't have a laptop yet, we can't do the research while I'm doing this. Okay? But we hear there's a famine in the land, presumably of Judea or Israel. And so this Judean from Bethlehem took his wife and his 2 sons and went to Moab. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Machlon and Chillin. I can't pronounce these words. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in Judah. They went into the country of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. These took Moabite wives. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. They lived there about 10 years, and both Machlon and Chillin died, so that the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the fields of Moab that the Lord had visited his people and given them food. So she set out from the place where she was with her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. Now it's important that you understand here that this is what life was like. When I was talking to you yesterday about the sacred king, and believing that the prosperity of the king dictated the prosperity of the land. People lived where there was food. There was no such thing as a fucking food desert. The Mesopotamian civilizations rose and fell not depending on their ability to feed themselves, but depending on their ability to steal material resources from outside their civilization. Because they could feed themselves easily, people would go live where the riches were. They had to import riches because they could import food. That was not the case where there were not reliable rivers. Judea, if you've ever seen it, is a motherfucking desert. So it is only by the grace of God that food grows there. You understand? And so this Jewish woman, she was led by her husband away from the desert where their people were into a place where there was food to the east. And there they did something that was illegal to their faith, and they allowed their sons to take Moabite women as wives. That is illegal. But then they died. In the minds of Judeans, the deaths of the husband and both sons, 3 men, that's proof that God does not approve that they left Judea. That's why this woman is looking back. Well, I gotta get back to Judea. God doesn't want me here. The oracle says that God does not want me here. Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go, return each of you to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me." These women did not adopt the Jewish faith because they were not responsible for adopting the Jewish faith. They did not adopt their husband's religion. And she is saying now, go back to your mothers like virgins, not like widows. Go back to your mothers like virgins, and let your mothers find you Moabite husbands. May our God, my God, the Lord my God, bless you for your time and service to my family, but your service to my family is over. That's what she says. It's not funny, Lethe, and I'll mute you. Go, says Naomi. Return, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each of you, in the house of your husband. And she says this with an exclamation point. Then she kissed each of them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Have I yet sons in my womb that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, even if I should have a husband this night and should bear sons, would you therefore wait till they were grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, for it is exceedingly bitter to me for your sake that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me." Do you hear that? That the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. "I allowed my husband and my sons to take Moabite wives, and the hand of the Lord has gone out against me, and he has destroyed them. It is bitter to me." Then they lifted up their voices and wept again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. And she said, "See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you, or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and therefore will I be, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do so to me and more, also, if anything but death parts me from you. And when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more. Do you understand what just happened there? She abandoned her own mother for this woman, this Naomi, these two women. So the two of them went on until they came to Bethlehem, and when they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me." And what you need to understand is that in the Indo-European language families, in the Hindu, she went east. So in Hinduism, she didn't have to actually have gone to Moab. She could have gone east. Mara, the word Mara is the illusion. Mara is illusion. Mara is the suffering from an illusory, delusive life. Mara is it's the separation between you and the truth. And so she chose to call herself, in Hinduism, Mara. Illusion. Call me an illusion. Call me dead. Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara. For the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me? When I hear others read this, when I've heard this read in church service, when I've heard this study, nobody ever talks about how God has cursed her. God has made her barren. He took her husband. He took her adult sons before they could have grandchildren. This is so sad. Her life, if you interpret this as a believing Jewish person, has been utterly brought to ruin. If you contextualize it and you compare literary suffering, what Job has gone through is nothing compared to this. Job was left his wife, and she was wise enough to tell him to die, and make new children with me. But Naomi wasn't left the husband, and she was left too old. Even Sarai was promised new children. God did not promise her new children, but he gave her Ruth. Chapter 2. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband's, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field." Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor." Gleaning is something that's protected. People say that the Jewish law protects slaves. Well, the Jewish law also protects the homeless and the destitute, because gleaning is something that the poor and the destitute are allowed to do in Jewish fields. What they're allowed to do is they're allowed to go and scavenge. They're allowed to scavenge what the slaves didn't get. It's called gleaning, scavenging. And so when you hear a Jewish person say, "Well, what can we glean from this?" they mean, what wisdom can we scavenge from this horrible situation? And Naomi said to Ruth, "Go, my daughter." So Ruth set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem. And he said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to the young man who was in charge of the reapers. Now understand, the reapers are all slaves. The reapers are all slaves. And he said to them, "Thank you for your work." And they said to him, "God bless you for owning this land." Then Boaz said to his young man who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answers, "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." So she's working alongside the slaves. It's called gleaning. She's working for free alongside the slaves, and she's allowed to keep a certain amount of what she harvests for this field because she's working for free, like I do. She said to the young man in charge of the reapers, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers." So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest. Do you understand? She came up and she said, "Please let me work with your slaves and let me keep some of it." Then Boaz said to Ruth, Boaz is a good man, an honorable man, a noble man of the clan of her mother-in-law. And he goes and he approaches her directly. He doesn't send someone to talk for her. He doesn't observe. He doesn't have a loaf of bread left for her at her bed. He goes and he speaks to her like a man. "Now listen, my daughter," he says to her. "Do not go to glean in another field, or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Did you see that? Have I not instructed my young men not to touch you?" Unmarried women were public property back then. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "What have I found? Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner, and not only a foreigner, but illegal?" But Boaz answered her, "Do you want to talk about illegal immigration? This woman's life is forfeit right now. All that you have done," says Boaz, "for your mother-in-law, since the death of your husband, has been fully told to me." And you have to understand, worshiping the mother is worshiping the father. Worshiping the father is worshiping the clan. Worshiping the clan is worshiping the clan's ancestors. Worshiping the clan's ancestors is worshiping their culture heroes. Worshiping their culture heroes is worshiping their lowercase gods. This Moabite woman has been a good Jewess, and Boaz is rewarding her for her conversion to the faith. "Your mother-in-law, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother in your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you, this is a blessing. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." And this is again said with an exclamation point. Then Ruth said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not one of your servants." And at mealtime Boaz said to her, at mealtime later in the day, when it's not his responsibility to feed her because she's not of his people, "Come here and eat some bread and dip your morsel in the wine." So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed to her roasted grain. The wine is important. We're reading the book of Ruth. The wine is important. Those tannins are necessary to life. Her dipping her bread in his wine is giving her necessary, life-giving, energy-giving, consciousness-giving nutrients from his own bowl. And she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. When she rose to glean, Boaz instructed his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. And also pull out some from the bundles for her, and leave it for her to glean, and do not rebuke her." What this means when he says the sheaves is the actual grain stalk. Let her have the actual head of grain. Let her have actual heads of grain. Let her have good wheat. Let her have good barley. Let her have good food. Not just what is required of us to give to strangers in Deuteronomy. Let her have good food. Feed her. Take some out of what has already been gathered and throw it on the floor so that she can come up and pick up whole stalks later. This is what God commands of us, and this is what Boaz does. This is how he owns his slaves. This is how he worships his land. So Ruth gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah. An ephah was about 3/4 of bushel, or 22 liters. 22 liters of grain, of barley. And she took it up and went into the city. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also brought out and gave her what food she had left over after being satisfied, and her mother-in-law said to her, do you understand here that Ruth ate until she was full and then took her leftovers back to her mother-in-law, who's too old to glean? And she brought that 22 liters of grain of barley back to her mother-in-law. And Naomi said to her, what did you glean today, and where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you. So Ruth told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, the man's name with whom I work today is Boaz. And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, may he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead. And that's said with an exclamation point, so she is weeping and she is crying, and she has grasped her in her arms. Naomi said to her, the man is a close relative of ours, and you can see her put her at arm's length, and he is a close relative of ours, mine and my husband's, who lives in my heart. And one of our redeemers. Redeemer is a political position. And Ruth the Moabite said, besides, he said to me, you shall keep close by my young men until they have finished all the harvest. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, understand that telling Ruth to go stand close to the young men means that she's not public property. The young women are public property. Those young men are allowed to take breaks and take them away and use them at will, night or day, but not with Ruth. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it's good, my daughter, that you go out with the young women, lest in another field you be assaulted. So she kept close to the young women of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and wheat harvests, and she lived with her mother-in-law. She didn't go seek the protection of men, not Boaz. She had faith that Boaz's word was enough. And she went and she gleaned with the women like her place. Chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, my daughter, should I not seek rest for you that it may be well with you? Is not Boaz our relative, with whose young women you were? See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Wash, therefore, and anoint yourself, and put on your cloak, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. You understand, the threshing floor is where they smash the wheat with threshing. They're basically whips. The cat o' nine tails was a thresh before it was a torture implement. And when she says, should I not seek rest for you? Naomi is on a couch or a bed, but Ruth sleeps on the floor. And so she's saying, shouldn't we find you a bed? Do not make yourself known to Boaz until he has finished eating and drinking. But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do. The uncovering his feet here is taught in churches, in seminary, and in biblical scholarship as go and give him head in his sleep. And that is not what that means. Think about it. You live in a giant building. It's warm. There's a furnace or a fireplace or whatever, this longhouse, this threshing house. It's your responsibility to you and your men to guard this wheat so that nobody comes and steals it in the night. The women sleep on the floor among the thresh because they're safe, because the men are there. He is under a blanket because he's the richest of them. You go and uncover his feet because what's going to happen when your feet are uncovered? You're going to wake up. You're going to wake up because your feet are cold now. You're going to kick. You're like, what the hell? And you're going to try to cover your feet back up. And when you do that, he will tell you what to do. And Ruth says, all that you say, I will do. So Ruth went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law had commanded her. And when Boaz has eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, when he's drunk, and his heart was merry, he's in a good mood, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then Ruth came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. At midnight the man was startled and turned over, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. He was startled. Why are my feet cold? Kick my blanket. Kick her. Fuck. There's a woman down there. That's not normal. And he said, who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings. And then this is actually got a footnote here telling you to compare this to the exact phrase that Naomi used about the Lord of God of Israel spreading his wings over Ruth in the adoption as her actual biological daughter. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. And Boaz said, may you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, and that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. Now go, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask, for all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. And now it is true that I am a redeemer, yet there is a redeemer nearer than I. Remain tonight, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then, as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning. And that means sleep at my feet until the morning. It means sleep down there, away from my pelvis. It does not mean suck me off. So she lay at his feet until the morning. Literally slept at his feet. It doesn't mean sucked him off. But arose before one could recognize another. So she couldn't, they rose before the dawn. And he said, let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. And he said, bring the garment you are wearing and hold it out. Maybe the women don't actually sleep in the threshing floor. So she held it, and he measured out 6 measures of barley and put it on her. Then she went into the city, and when she came to her mother-in-law, I'm just saying, you can imagine how this setup worked, because this is how Beowulf is set up. The men are on one end, the women are on the other end of the longhouse. And when she came to her mother-in-law, Naomi said, how did you fare, my daughter? Then Ruth told her all that the man had done for her, saying, these 6 measures of barley he gave to me, for he said to me, you must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law. She replied, wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today. And I don't know if you notice, but he's already treating Ruth like a wife. He's feeding her mom. He's already treating her like a wife. He would respect her and not use her body. He has protected her body at every turn. These fucking people that want to stand up in church and say, this is an erotic call for women to suck off strange men, are in blasphemy and heresy, and every one of them needs to be set afire. Because that is not what is happening. Chapter 4. Now Boaz had gone up to the gate and sat down there. And behold, the Redeemer of whom Boaz had spoken came by. So Boaz said, turn aside, friend, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit down here. So they sat down. Then he said to the Redeemer, Naomi, who has come back from the country of Moab, is selling the parcel of land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. So I thought I would tell you of it and say, buy it in the presence of those sitting here, and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if you will not, tell me, that I may know. For there is no one besides you to redeem it, and I come after you. And he said, I will redeem it. Then Boaz said, the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you also require Ruth. Redeemers, what they do. Christians in the audience, pay attention. You'll find redemption in Jesus. What redeemers among the Jewish community do is they buy the land, the slaves, and the other property of Jews who have been in exile because they had to leave the land to eat. If you don't live on the land, you don't own the land, but you still deed the land. The land belongs to you. Ruth owns all this, or Naomi owns all this land because her husband owned all this land. But they've abandoned it, and he died, and she has no sons. So a Jewish man has to buy it from her because she can't exercise it and she's too old to get married. Read Moll Flanders. Women who own land cannot exercise their rights on the land without a husband until first wave feminism, Alec. This woman needs a husband, but she's too old. So she has to go to a redeemer who will have a spiritual marriage. They'll have this legal marriage where this redeemer will buy her and buy all her slaves. And then he'll give it to her in a divorce. So when you acquire the field from the hand of Naomi, you also acquire Ruth, the Moabite, the widow of the dead, in order to perpetuate the name of the dead and his inheritance. Do you understand? Do you understand? The Redeemer buys Naomi as a wife, gets all of the land, gets all of the slaves, and then gets all of the inheritance of the son. And he now owns all of that by law. But in the eyes of God, it belongs to these women. And so as a Redeemer, it is his political and religious position, it's his responsibility to make sure that Jews don't get fucked over by their own law. Then the Redeemer said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I impair my own inheritance. Take my right of redemption yourself, for I cannot. Now this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging. And so you understand that this book, Contemporaneous, is saying that we don't do this anymore. We don't do this anymore because we suck, because we've abandoned the ways of our ancestors. We no longer hold this custom. So it said it was looking back. But now it's criticizing its own people. Now this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging. So when Jesus is talking about redemption, and I ask Christians, what are you talking about? What was Jesus talking about? And they go, blah, 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 heaven, blah, 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 feel good, blah, 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 I'm an alcoholic and a porn addict, blah, 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 blah. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This is what redemption Jesus was offering. Concerning redeeming and exchanging, to confirm a transaction, the one drew off his sandal and gave it to the other, and this was the manner of attesting in Israel. So when the Redeemer said, so in the previous book where they were selling one another for the price of a sandal, they would literally give you a sandal. All right, I bought all of that for the price of a sandal. Literally. And give it to the other, and this was the manner of attesting in Israel. So when the Redeemer said to Boaz, buy it for yourself, he drew off his sandal. And then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, you are witnesses this day that I have bought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chillin and to Machlon. And remember, Amos said that they were literally selling people for the price of a sandal, and he just bought 2 people and a whole shitload of land for a sandal. Literally. Also Ruth the Moabite and the widow of Machlon. I have bought to be my wife, to perpetuate the name of the dead and his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brothers and from the gate of his native place. You are witnesses this day. He bought her as a wife, a legal Jewish wife, so that any children that they have together will inherit her husband's land as a full member of the clan. He made her a full member of the clan in this transaction of a sandal. Then all the people who were at the gate and the elders said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you act worthily in Ephrathah and be renowned in Bethlehem. And may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, because of the offspring that the Lord will give you by this woman." So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife, and he went into her, and the Lord gave her conception, and she bore a son. Then the women said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and may this name be renowned in Israel." And now it's important that you understand, for when you read this again, when you listen to this again, Ruth is like 16. He shall be to you a restorer of life. This is what redemption is when Jesus is talking about it, not when whatever Christian or whatever pastor or whatever person in public. This is what spiritual redemption is. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. Then Naomi, you understand that this woman is worth more than 7 sons. Why? Then Naomi took the child and laid him on her lap and became his nurse. And the women of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now these are the generations of Perez. Perez fathered Hezron. Hezron fathered Ram. Ram fathered Amminadab. And Amminadab fathered Nahshon. Nahshon fathered Salmon. Salmon fathered Boaz. Boaz fathered Obed. Obed fathered Jesse. And Jesse fathered David. Tomorrow we'll read Obadiah, because Obadiah is named for Jesse, and I can open right to it. In fact, I could read it right now. It's this long. I opened right to it. It's right here. Can you see the page? I opened right to it. It's one of my favorite books of the Bible. The Vision of Obadiah. Fiend, at an hour. Thank you for your patience, for your attention. Would you like to talk about the book? If you have any questions to me about the book, I would like to spend the next 15 to 30 minutes talking about the book. And then we can return to the fountain as you are used to it. Because I need to walk over to Panera and get something to eat, so we can do, it doesn't have to be Panera, but we can do the mukbang. You guys can eat, we can have a smoke, we can do all of those things. But it's important to me that I begin to do more to spiritually fortify myself as I gather more of you around me. I see that there are 15 of you. I see that since I've begun reading, 6 of you liked, but my chat is broken. Greetings, Ellie. I didn't greet you when you came through. Well, it's also important, Angela, to understand that Ruth was a fictional character. Thank you, Kathos. She's the grandmother of David, who is a fictional character. So it's important to understand that this transmission of information from women, the importance of women and transmitting the proper method of being Jewish, goes back to David's grandmother, who was a Moabite, who was illegal. So when we elected Obama, it's because we wanted his mother to be an Anglo-American Ruth. That's why we elected Obama, because we wanted to honor his mother as a liberal, white, Anglo-American, feminist Ruth. And if the chat is giving me, okay. Well, Psalms and Proverbs are enormous books, and each one is different. A proverb is just a story that has an allegorical moral, and a psalm is just a poem. So there are hundreds of both, and each one is worth its own commentary. I'm not just going to read the books of Psalms and Proverbs. That would be like reading all of Greek folklore all in one setting. We're not in Revelation 5:5-9. That's just not how Philalitheia works, Christina. If you want to do that, you do that. You don't pay me enough money to make me do something that's antithetical to my religion. I know you're not trying to make me, but you said I should, and I said no, and then you continued to explain why I should, and so I'm just telling you no. You do it. It's okay. You don't have anything to be sorry for, Christina. I just maintain my boundaries. When I say no, no means no. What are you whatting, Danny? What up, Eric? Wasn't real. The person's username is notification, and their PFP is that. We didn't get in trouble, guys. It's a person whose username is notification, and their PFP is the bell. They're just a troll. If I can hide the notification, it's not from YouTube. I'll get it in an email, and the stream will just end. Use your critical thinking, guys. Use your critical thinking skills. Think critically. Ask yourself, what makes more sense? YouTube communicating to him in this method, or YouTube communicating to him via emails and ending the stream? No, I'm not getting any more blankets, Gina. I already have too many blankets to manage. Fuck! That slit. The slit in my weatherproofing is laying right against my tent. So that shirt is just soaking wet. But it's the only thing that's soaking wet. I'm glad to hear that, Toxic. I'm not here to talk about your favorite Bible verse until there's a blue star there. Oh, guys. The same is not true of my backpack. So the only thing that couldn't get wet is not wet. So it's fine. I know a Nigerian prince, says KJ. Yeah, I got a... Oh, but there is a bunch of fucking shrew shit back there. Just put my hands in a bunch of shrew shit. It's going great, X Blue Blessed. I don't know what religious elitism you're talking about, Toxic. It literally says on your screen right now, I am not a scholar. Ask your Bible questions. It doesn't say, tell me your favorite verse. Like, I'm the one with pathological demand avoidance, and then I give you a demand, and you avoid it. And then you call me elitist because I don't care about your favorite verse. I'm not here to read your favorite verse, and you don't pay me enough money to divert the program, the show, today's improvised programming for your dumbass. All right. I'm not even reading that dumb shit. It's not what today's programming is about. You can either participate with the format of the show or you can go away. I'm not here to argue with you about your dumb shit. I don't give a fuck about your dumb shit. Yes, I'm not here to read Isaiah. I just read Ruth. I'm here to talk about Ruth. If you want to talk about Ruth, we can talk about Ruth. If you want to ask me questions about the Bible, you can ask me questions about the Bible. But god damn it, this is the portion of the show where I'm trying to actually make money. Thank you, Danny. It's fine that you don't know enough. Just saying that you don't know enough is fine. You don't have any questions. And if we're done talking about, yes, others would have taken very real advantage of Ruth because it was illegal for her to exist. So they would have used her illegality to hurt her. Where did I get so connected to the world? I tried to kill myself when I was 6 years old, Eric. A goddess caught me by the arms and put me safely on the ground and didn't even burn my hands with the rope that I tried to arrest myself with. I'm telling you where I got so connected to the word. I wasn't even 6. I was 5. Midway through kindergarten. I have no choice, Kathos. Yes, this is a cult, Jeff. I'm doing religion right now. That's what cults do. They do religion. It's not sad. It's triumphant, Eric. God spread his wings literally around me, caught me with hands under my arms. I don't know what that has to do with the Bible, Esha, and I don't see a super chat, so I'm just going to ignore that you said that. Afternoon, Zoiks. Zoiks! But again, it's about the wings and the spreading and the being covered part, not so much the nearly dying part. I was in no actual danger. But I would have been maimed forever. And so I became acquainted with the word, Eric, because I thought that I was going to go to seminary and that I was going to be a priest and that I was going to do this professionally my whole life. I've known that I was going to do this since I was 6 years old. Well, Jinkies, guys. It's the wrong Shaggy. It is tradition now. I try to say Zoinks every time he shows up. Not only because of the star, but also because Zoinks has hit my PayPal a few times. So I try to do something just a little bit special for the people who do something just a little bit special for me. Well, Jeremiah, that's why I get so angry. But yes, thank God I'm still here, I suppose. Because God is the only reason. Actually, don't even thank God. Thank the goddess. She's the only reason I'm here. Because he's not real. Christina, you can't see him. Or that wasn't Christina that said that. Christy, you can't see him. He's not real. No, I don't believe we need Jesus. I read from the Old Testament because that's real religion. Christina, if you listened to what I was saying during my reading, I kept telling you how Ruth sets an example for how Jesus behaves. Everything Ruth says, Jesus later says in Aramaic. Zen Buddhism is preparation for death, AP. I mastered it. I'm Bodhisattva. Yes, please don't forget to become members so these can have 50, 60, 100, 1,000 people. And I can justify paying someone to tell me in my ear which of you to respond to. It's all good, Christina. It's not so much that the Old Testament is the real God, it's that the Old Testament is articulate that God is not one being or real. It's not infected with Greek philosophy. No, you should not start from the beginning, One Punch Man. You should start with the prophets, and then you should read the folklore, and then you should read Torah. And you should read Torah like it's a fantasy, because it is. Torah was the latest edition. Then you should read Job, because it was the last book written. Or you should start with Job. And you should just not do anything but Job. Thank you, Danny. That was really cool of you. Jeremiah got himself a gift membership. You're stuck with me, Jeremiah, at least for a month. Okay, but Jesus had nothing to do with the creation, Christina. You're allowed to believe in Jesus, but Jesus never said, I am the creator. Well, Proverbs is a book of folklore, Eric. Books of folklore are always good. The fantasy's not going to do anything for anyone, Christina, because it's a fantasy. I'm doing great, Red Light. I don't know what you would do, Christy. That's why I'm here. I've read the scholarship and they're lying. That's why I'm a lover of truth. Omnipresent, yes, but omnipresent, omniscient is the word you want. It's all knowing, all present, it's all being. Why do you want to get to the Creator, Christina? The Creator is at the beginning of time. Why do you need to be at the beginning of time? A lot of people are stupid, Angela. Jesus was not God in the flesh. Gilgamesh was also God in the flesh. Truth is very easy to find in every word of the Bible, Gina. I just did a reading showing you where the truth was. Hello, Muhammad. You just got to ask it questions. You got to engage in the Bible with dialogue. The Bible is not the word of God. The Bible is the word of a human being trying to express the word of God. You have to be in dialogue with it. You have to ask it questions. If you don't ask it questions, and if you don't say, well, this is what I know, is this true? You're never going to find truth in anything. You have to be critical in your thinking. Just like asking whether that notification was real. You have to be critical in all of your thinking. You never see truth. Yeah, ask it, Lethian. Don't say that you have it. Don't waste my time and don't waste your effort telling me that you have a question. Ask the fucking question. It's a demand. Ask your Bible questions. No, I read the whole book, Christina. If I'm going to engage with a book in the Bible, I read the entire book. And if I'm going to engage with a chapter or a verse, I read the entire chapter. Who Jews actually are is not a question, Alexander. Because of politics, Simon. Why did the priest with the offer for God behead the other priest because God did not accept their offer? I don't know what offer means there, but politics is the reason. What about after death, Christina? What about after death? Gay is not bad, Chaz. If it is bad, it's because you don't get children out of it, and it's psychopathology. Go read the Symposium and listen to my critique of the Phaedrus. No, the third temple will never be built. Islam is in the way, and Judaism has no spine. Why would I be worried about dying in sin? What's my sin, Christina? Why should I worry about dying in sin? The Bible is also, Simon, the textbooks for a fertility cult. Did you not listen to me reading the book of Ruth? The only thing they were concerned with was the children. You can't have children if two men are fucking. What don't I know, Christina? Take it easy, Eric. If you say so, Simon. I just sourced maybe 5 books to you that I know you've never read. I love these people that try to turn to the crowd. Take care, Eric. Love you, buddy. Eat a dick, garçon. I'm always telling the truth unless I'm lying, Shulk. I'm lying right now, Marty boy. Don't want to talk about Genesis. We're talking about Ruth. What's your question? I've stated what the next 12 minutes are about. People who want to deviate from the next 12 minutes don't need to be here at all. The end days is when the sacred king lets the land go to ruin and everyone abandons their homes. I talked about that twice yesterday. Both readings were about that. I talked about it during my reading of Ruth. I've talked about that 3 times in the last 3 shows. Shock. How many scrolls of what, Marty boy? The Bible says that your burnt offerings are abhorrent to God, Shock. The Bible says that God abhors weed. No, we're not in the last days. Are people abandoning their homes because they can't eat, Jeremiah, or is there an obesity epidemic happening? The end days are when the sacred king has failed the land, and the land is empty, and it is no longer able to yield food, and so the people abandon it. That is the end days. War, famine, pestilence, death. Do you look around and see famine and pestilence? I see obese people. What up? What the deal? What's the deal? With what the deal? I am only doing that because I love a Jewish woman. I have never watched that show. She's also from New York, so I know she thought it was very funny. You didn't ask a question, Lethian. I don't want to talk about Genesis. We're talking about Ruth, and you didn't ask a question. Famine feeding us to death? Well, maybe you mean prosperity or fortune feeding us to death. I actually can't even remember the name. Is it Seinfeld? What's his first name? Don't know. Ben? Jerry? Jerry Seinfeld? Ben and Jerry Seinfeld. That's all I got there. 5 degrees of mnemonics to get to Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, I'll turn off that cricket. I love that. Now my chat's just going to be Jerry's. Because you guys are about 5 seconds behind me. Ask me a question, Lethian. I don't want to talk about Genesis. I've already said that Genesis is a fantasy in your presence, so just ask a question. My glossolalia wins again. I got myself to laugh and everybody's happy about it. I also do like Ben and Jerry's, KJ. It's just too expensive. Not yet, King. Glossolalia for the win. Oh man, what the deal? You gotta go, man. You were fun literally for the bit, but you're not actually fun to talk to. Bah. That's what you make happen to my insides. You fill me with indigestion rage. What up, Holly? Holly Jenkins? Holly Jenkins! Yeah, well, at least she's got chicken. Dave says, I'm always behind. He's the brunt of the joke. Yeah, bruh. There it is. She's about 10 seconds behind as well. That's hilarious. Do people do that to you, Holly? See, I would be the best substitute teacher. Because I wouldn't be able to stop myself from doing that shit. Nah, it's all good, Jeremiah. The last of the show was for you, though. Truths in the Bible that contradict ideas in the world today. All of them? You haven't asked a question, Lethian. You haven't asked a question. You're talking about Genesis when I keep telling you I don't want to talk about Genesis. And you're not asking the question. You're talking about yourself. Your name is playing itself out. I mean, just reading is good. I prefer audiobooks. Zoinks. Thank you for the like and the subscribe, Edith. Are you 65? Do you have horn rim glasses? They're not turtle shell. If they're horn rim, they're not turtle shell. You don't mix. They're probably black with red rims on the inside. You strike me, Edith, by your name and your prolonged silence, as someone who used to do the Marilyn Monroe beauty mark with your mascara. Am I wrong? I know you're out, Lethian. You're trying to make the show about you, and so I've invited you to leave 3 times. Go read Paul. You identify as Leviathan, the great chaotic evil, and you spell your name like the Greek word forgetfulness. You're never going to be a shopper. You're never going to spend money here. It is indeed, Kelpie. I'm praying right now, Diego. I don't count the times I pray. I gotta go get something to eat once it stops raining, Jeremiah. Once I know it's not gonna rain anymore, I really, really just need to go and do laundry because I'm gonna have mildew in a couple of days. So my clock for laundry is ticking. Unless I just go buy a new flannel. And then we're just hemorrhaging money to avoid doing laundry. What am I, my dad? Snack pack. So we got 2 minutes, and then we'll just go back to the normal fountain, where I just greet passersby and we bullshit with the dickheads. But I wanted to give you a chance to process what you just read and for the passersby to use me what I'm for. Bullshit with the dickheads. No, KJ, you're not a dickhead. I might call you a dickhead, but that's not... idiomatically, that's not how I was using the term at the time. I don't think Lindros is coming back, no. I don't think Lindrios or Spencer or Chia are coming back. If I called you a dickhead, KJ, it would be because you just said something so funny. The only thing I can do is tell you that you're being a dickhead. Usually that is only an insult. Only an insult. It's usually only said from a place of deep irritation. Oh, man. I do kind of want it to stop raining, but I love the sound. I just kind of don't want to be wet. Kind of annoyed with myself. Bible recommendation for beginners. Start with Job. If you're going to read your Bible, fucking have Google handy. Ask questions. That's funny, KJ. No, you didn't. From Frala Milano. I hate that. And I got my first piece of fan art for the channel, so I used it as the thumbnail for last night's stream. So if this one ends up with fan art, I'll use it. Basically, if you guys give me fan art, it'll become thumbnails. Otherwise, I just can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered. I'm glad the voice chat was epic. Hello, Luzon. How are you doing? Is it Luzanne? Luzon? Luzon? Luzaha? Do people ever stutter on it? Luzanon? Alright. Okay, the Q&A portion of today's show is completed. The next half hour is going to be bullshit, and if nothing happens and it's done raining, I'm going to walk up to Panera and we can do a mukbang for an hour. Moonshine and guns. Heard that, Justin. Good times. You were appreciative, Kathos? Thank you. I'm good, Luzon. You can send the fan mail. You just hold on to it for a while. Humdinger. I heard that one. A real humdinger. Yeah, I sat through as much of the beginning of the voice chat as I could, but my phone died and then I was watching a movie. But yeah, I heard you guys bandying around regional dialect. Thank you for the sub, Luzon. What's up with your life? What's your thing? I don't know if it's actually called a mukbang, but I'm going to go to Panera and I'm going to eat, and certain people like to watch. It's so wet and cold today. It's just a miserable day. It's one of those days where I might just... Today might just be a fucking fast day. A whistle pig is where I dropped out. I never heard what a whistle pig actually is. I did join Jeremiah. I was just at the movie. And those are largely going to be happening when I'm taking away time. So I'll listen. I want to listen. But if I join, it's going to be to do something like stream a game. What is a whistle pig? What are you sorry for, Luzon? A groundhog is a whistle pig? Heard that. Oh, my right arm hurts all of a sudden, like real bad. Ow. Nah, you thought it was a dirty word. I think it's eating while people watch. I've never heard a groundhog whistle. Maybe they whistle. I feel like maybe I've been resting my weight on my arm for a couple of hours. Nope. We don't talk about that, Jeremiah. I'm pretty sure it's a Japanese word. Guinea pigs or whistle pigs? That's funny. Regional. Nah, it's all good, man. It's all good. We just got to keep it on the up and up. When the talk has been about treating women with respect. That is a punishment for women of infidelity, not a kink or a fetish. That's a dehumanization technique. It's not funny to make fun of. Never had a guinea pig, no. They whistle. They make a whistle noise. I don't know, Jeremiah. I don't actually know what the word means. People just, when I'm eating, people ask me if I'm doing a mukbang video. That's nice. Oh, that's good. One of everything. Sure. I still kind of don't want to talk about it. No, I'm not a glutton, Jeremiah. I wouldn't do that anyway. I hurt. It takes me too long to eat to be a glutton. I heard that, Kathos. Mukbang does refer back to the people asking me if it's end of the world. South Korea, and then my KJ saying that it's ironic that famine is feeding us to death, and my saying, well, maybe it's not famine, maybe it's fortune that's feeding us to death. South Korea gets a little bit of wealth, get a little bit of prosperity, and then what do? They gorge themselves on food. Are people abandoning their cities? No, they're bitching that gorging themselves is expensive. I don't seem to have a problem eating for an appropriate amount of money. Sure, it's a little bit more than it used to be. I can't gorge myself anymore. But I ate on $3 a day for months. Oh, that feels so good. Oh, I have stressed this muscle in the back of my arm going into my elbow somehow, probably by sitting here on it for so long, all day, every day. Oh, it hurts. Because the fall of the Roman Empire was a couple of things, Alec. There are a couple of answers that you can give there. You can give the internecine warfare. You can say the political structure. Internecine, by the way, is internal, but it might. I think some people also use it to mean unending. But the internal warfare, the fighting over the imperator, that's what I mean by the internal government, the style of government, the imperator, the way that you became imperator, like a sacred king, by killing the previous imperator, is how people also pronounce it. But what really, and then you could turn to iniquity, and you could say, well, they were deeply unequal, and they deeply mistreated their people, so the rich were super rich. There's this huge disparity in wealth. But what caused the empire to lose faith in the Western Empire and not the Eastern Empire, what caused the Western Roman Empire to collapse, and what caused a lack of faith, was the Goths. It was the Germans ravaging the country and establishing better government. So the lack of faith was the inability to fight off the Germans, frankly, and then the inability to think, just the inability to think their way around problems en masse, comes from how much lead they were using. There was a paper published earlier this year, or late last year, that I was reading about how they took core samples. They took core samples from the North Pole, and what they found was that the Roman Empire was processing and refining and using so much lead that there was enough lead in the atmosphere that their IQs, on average, everyone that lived in and during the Roman Empire, that the atmospheric lead was of quantities enough that they would have been mentally retarded by at least 5 points of IQ. So average IQ would have been at the highest 95. And they were already an unintelligent people, because Latin is an almost unintelligible language. You can't communicate anything intelligible in it. And Greek had already been sequestered to the upper echelons of civilization. So the most people already spoke Germanic languages, and they were by our standards mentally retarded on average. And we know that the average person isn't very intelligent. So their ability to respond to new problems and their ability to innovate diminished as they used lead. It diminished to the height of the empire, and then when the empire stopped, they recovered because they stopped using so much lead. That is the most credible short form answer for what caused the fall of the Roman Empire. Their widespread use of lead. Their addiction to lead. My arm's fine. It's fine now. Now my left arm hurts in the same way. Heard that, KJ. Beans and toast are one of your favorite zoinks? I would eat beans and toast. You're back, Greenie, and you're front. They're both here. Yeah, good spot to come back to, Greenie. Glad you didn't come back during the earlier section. I never would have got you guys off it. I don't imagine Uzbekistan to be a kind of country. Aloe, aloe. I don't know anything about it. Hello, ooh-ee. I don't know what Marines means. Tomato and mayo sandwiches is a no. I used to eat a lot of mayo sandwiches as a kid. I used to like to toast bread, spread mayo on it, and just eat that. Or if we had white bread, I'd just eat white bread with mayonnaise. I imagine Uzbekistan is somewhere that I don't want to live. I can't imagine it somewhere I'm going to be invited to stay. Kazakhstan. Interesting. His parents were a real Romeo and Juliet. I didn't watch that show, guys. Sorry. That's funny, Greenie. All right. No, anywhere that ends in stan is not someplace that a white person wants to live. The irony of places being named Stan means place, is that the people from those places don't want to live there either. That's funny, Kathos. You're a bad person. I love how when I ask people what my sin is that is going to keep me out of whatever afterlife they think is awaiting them, they can never tell me. And they never, when I ask them, they never say, well, let he who's blameless throw the first stone. No, they'll throw stones, but when you ask them exactly what they're trying to hit with their stones, they won't tell you. It's so funny. The prank calls it's the same thing when people roll through the chat and say all that random shit. And then we go, oh, what the hell? But it's the same thing as a prank call. All they're doing is lighting dog shit on fire on the front porch and then laughing when we call it poop. All they're doing is trying to get us to do old people stuff. I miss prank calls. Well, go prank call people. The most bar pranks? Sure. That's funny, Greenie. Right. I mean, they had the same responses in the prank calls that people have on these chats, or in these live streams. They're trying to get us to crash out in the same way that you guys were trying to get people to crash out by throwing eggs at their car. Yeah, I don't believe their dogma, but they can't tell me that my sin is not believing their dogma, KJ. That's exactly right. Not believing what they do. That's my sin. Hello, Leapy. I'm doing great. I got to do a reading. I got 15 minutes before I got to decide what to do with the next hour of the show. Prank cable access shows. That's funny. They appreciated you doing that, I am sure, Dustin. That's funny. He left his actual phone number and address. That's funny, Greenie. Nobody even knows what Prince Albert in a can is anymore. That's funny, Greenie. You guys are so funny. You're old, Angela? I guess I'm probably old too now. I just stay in touch with the youth by talking to them, listening to them, trying to interpret their insane lingo. Is your refrigerator running? Great minds think alike and all that. I think for the third hour of the show, if it's just going to stay like this, if I'm just going to be entertaining my regulars, I'm going to go to a video game. Maybe play Final Fantasy VII or something. Yeah, they're trying to project their sins on me, Dave. So they know that if they tell me what my sin is, they're just going to be saying theirs. It's just confession. I'm a spiritual judo artist. You want to come at me? I will use your momentum against you. Phone in your room, you were hot shit. Prank calls for job interviews? That's kind of funny. No calls till after hours. Now it's getting warm. That makes me think. Hey, 12:34, by the way, make a wish. That makes me think it's going to be done raining if it's warming up. Dot Matrix playing Doom. That's funny. Calling sick to places he didn't work at. Yeah, the rain has stopped for a little while. I don't know if it's done. Oh, wow. Cowboy Yoda says, "Sup, Shagonauts?" Phone books were a wonderful thing. You already had their name. Have you ever looked up Adam West's phone book entry? I'm serious about this. Has anybody ever looked up Adam West, his phone book entry? Adam West, his phone book entry for years. He paid the phone company to do this for years, decades maybe. Adam West, Batman, his phone book entry, it said, Adam West, for phone number, see Batman. You go to Batman, for phone number, see Adam West. And then it had there was secret text you could find doing that. He had he was a really cool guy. Yeah, Adam West was a cool guy. There was a message or whatever. That's why I wanted to know if anybody else had done it, because I've only heard about it. A girlfriend showed me. That sounds like the old Batman with the subtitles when he hits you. Yeah, that's Adam West. Yeah, the original Batman. You like George Clooney, Greenie? Yeah. Adam West was a special dude. Different kind of guy. You should also listen to him talk about the absolute debauchery that went on that set. The things that he did with 13-year-old girls and he laughs about now, or laughed about it in old age. I don't know that he was a pederast. I just know that he talked about going into his locker room and finding naked 13-year-old girls and being like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing now. Not his locker room, his dressing room, the green room. That he and Robin tore through some teenagers because they were just always around. Always around and always naked. It's less to be critical of him and more to be critical of teenage girls. That whole Beatles thing. I was talking with somebody about this the other day. They were all freaked out about like Beatles mania. Beatles mania was not at all about a real mania. It was about screaming the loudest to be the one that got to sex him after the show. Yeah, he was. They were. Yeah, he was young. Robin was young. That was part of it. Yeah, he talked about it. He was like, man, I was so drunk I wasn't going to say no anyway. I didn't know how old these girls were. I only found out later. Just show up and they're there, they're naked. Well, I'm not going to tell the fan no. That would hurt my image. Still in love with your first love? Well, you're young, Adrenalina. You'll have time to turn that into hate. Here, give me a second. One punch? Why'd you do that, One Punch? Aw, thanks, man. I appreciate that. We do still have to work on your tires. I'll work on that on a day where the money is really flying. And some girls do lie. They have their reasons. And so what's more important is to teach the girls to think and act safe so they don't put themselves in situations to be taken advantage of. It's more important to advocate for wise thinking from both genders, because you can't fix someone who's already turned 13. You have to fix them, you have to make them good first. You can't actually fix people. Redemption has absolutely nothing to do with fixing people. Girls get themselves into real trouble, Greenie. And those dudes are to blame. Heard that, KJ. Yeah, you want to explore redemption? Go read KJ's The Collector. All right, we got 6 minutes for this hour. Today was a slow one. Hey, Ghost. Welcome back. You're learning about your new lady love? You gave up on adulting? Probably a bad idea. Alex says that he's going to match up to 50 for the next 5 minutes. I'm going to end the show at 2 hours, so the show ends at 5. So Alec wants to go on a run. He says he'll match donations up to 50 for the next 5 minutes. I don't think so, KJ. I think that now that you're an adult, you have to adult for the rest of your life. Sorry, guys. You can't give up on adulting if I can't give up on this channel. If I can't just walk away, you can't just give up on adulting. Hello, Light. What is up? I'm here for another 5 minutes if you want to make acquaintances. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and I hope I see you around. Greenie. Probably not the best way to think about it, though, Greenie. There's probably better ways to think about it. We could probably reach for something a little more gratifying and satisfying and grounding. I don't know why I'm trying to do this. Heard that, KJ. Not anymore, Hishu. I'm about to get out of the tent. I'm starting to feel like my camera time is over. Hello again, Hishu. What do I mean, Greenie? I might game. I might read. Might go do laundry. That's funny, KJ. I wonder if she watches the show. Take care, Dave. It was great to be in your presence today. Hey, what's up, Rach? It would be a small world, KJ. You didn't tell her it was you? You didn't say anything? You didn't say, oh, I've got many copies. You just sent a super chat, but it's not showing up. I don't have any control. I don't know what that's about. Fingernails are so ugly, man. Okay, well, that's 2 hours. I'll do some thank yous. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. It's just not working. I used to chew mine. Well, I still chew mine. Greenie, I'm trying to stop. Thank you, Chicago. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the well wishes. I will probably be around YouTube. I'll definitely be around the Discord. If I come back, it's going to be to play a video game or to read another book. You don't have to disclose what the weird thing is, Greenie. Um, you don't have to. I'm not asking. I'm actively not asking, but I'm not asking you to just to withhold it either. If you need to share, you can share it. You fucking weirdo. You have a woman, Ghost. So now I'm trying to get a file out of this stack of files, and it won't come out. Don't know if you can. Yeah, just don't, Greenie. Y'all have a great day. Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for the $22, $21.97. I do very much appreciate that. I appreciate it in a big way. Cowboy Baby Yoda. I'm not maybe emotionally elevated about it, but it makes the day worth it. That money, the YouTube money, I'm not going to get access to until the beginning of the month. So if you want to help your boy, you think about your boy, you think about wanting to feed him, PayPal, please. I've got $80, but if you're thinking about me, you can help me with the PayPal. And if you want to help me with the computer so that I am feeling shagadelic, thank you, Cowboy. If you want to help me with the computer before the top of the month, basically, we can get that done with CashApp. But basically, I'm going to have enough money when I cash out from YouTube by the end of the month. I am anticipating I might actually just go ahead and buy a state-of-the-art. Picking skin, scabs, and stuff? No, not really. Had me worried, Zoinks? No, I'm not rage quitting. I'm just going to take some time off I'm going to take my face off the screen for a while because we've got adequate likes and we've got adequate views, but the passersby weren't interested in participating in what was today's theme, what was going on. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to think about a theme that passersby might find more amenable. The problem is that because I've got themes that are amenable, people aren't going to be able, or they're not going to feel inclined to crash the party because there are still more blues. There are still more blues than what people are comfortable seeing to try to crash a party. So I got to weed out the blues now. I've been telling people for this whole week that I had the blues on, the blue wrenches on, to weed out the people that weren't trying to disrupt. And then the people that try to disrupt who also have a blue lose the blue. And they go, I don't know what I did. And I say, well, you tried to disrupt the show. And then they argue with me, disrupting the show is why. So it's not punitive. It's about weeding out who's here for the right reasons, right? Weeding out who's here for the right reasons and then growing an audience of people who are here for the same reasons as those people, right? Because I'm not interested in my cult of personality. I'm not interested whatsoever in the whole hills, from the tent to the hills. I'm not interested. I want a cloister. I want a hillside hobbit hole with one woman away from teenagers. That's what I want. Thank you, Rach, for the $1.50. I appreciate it. What I want more than anything is to be away from, and I apologize, Adrenalina, but young women like Adrenalina. I want to be writing, and I want to be writing movies, and I want to be supporting and selling your work. I want to be touring the world. There she is. Thank you, Rach. I want to be away from sexually immature women that don't know how to keep their clothes on, Greenie. I don't know how to say it any better. I want to be with one woman away from all sexually mature adult people. But especially teenagers who don't know any better. And so I don't want to be in Beverly Hills. I want to be working. And so the the future now is selling Patreon subs, and working. Um, I am not a voice actor, but if I'm ever going to get contract offers from Amazon, if I'm ever going to get ad reads, if I'm ever going to be treated like a professional at what I'm doing, I have to do the things that professionals at what I'm doing do. And so what that means is that I might actually just go ahead and take the next 2 hours and play Final Fantasy VII and listen to an audiobook and record my screen and then upload that later. Love you, Rach. I'm not just saying this because you're here. I started saying it before you were here, frankly. Started wanting to say it. So thank you. Thank you for listening to me talk about this work. Thank you for listening to me interpret this book in a way that you'll never hear in a church or a synagogue. No ordained person will talk about this work the way I do, because ordained people are motivated to not know the archaeology. Well, I know the archaeology. I was motivated to know the anthropology and the archaeology, to understand who the people were before I gave a shit about what their books said. I studied the people, and then I turned to their books, and I found that what the people say about their books is not wrong. Is not right. What the people say about their books is just not right. And so Philalitheia means lover of truth. It does not mean lover of sitting around with my thumb up my ass. It doesn't mean lover of my own personality and the cult of people who want to see me elevated and rich. And it most certainly doesn't mean trying to game YouTube for watch hours, likes, subs, and ad rev. So if I'm not doing something that I'm proud of, if I'm not doing something that I feel like was work, if I'm not feeling like I'm doing something that's creative and productive and meaningful to me, then I will walk away. And I'm not walking away. So we're going to continue to find ways to grow the channel in ways that make sense and fulfill me and fortify you. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Alec. Thank you, Rach, for the donation. Thank you. I went and forgot. Cowboy, thank you. Thank you to Justin One Punch Man for the tip. Thank you. I know there's one more that I'm forgetting. And thank you to them as well for the donations. If you swing back around and watch this and read it, please hit the comments. Please ask me questions in the comments. And please, if you think that this shorter format doesn't work, you got to let me know. Have a great day. You'll see more from me today.